Hey everyone, Kyle Mike here from MLive.com. Joined as always by Justin Rogers. Not as always, Justin. We are in Ann Arbor today, in the MLive building with the third video installment of our draft preview. Today we're talking about trades and the possibility of trades. Martin Mayhew's been pretty active on the trade market, and I think he's done well for himself. I think 28 trades now is in his tenure as GM. I think he's won or held his own in almost all of them. I think the Mike Thomas one is the one that stands out that he bungled, but besides that, I think he's done very well for himself, and that includes in the draft. He's averaged almost 2 trades per draft in his tenure. Gotten some good guys with that. DeAndre Levy comes to mind. That was a traded down pick. So it's something that to watch out for because he is very active on the trade market. What do you think the chances are the Lions make a trade this year?
Almost 100%. You know, Mayhew in his comments at his pre-draft press conference said, you know, he did not expect to leave this draft with the number of picks that they entered. They're entering the event with the fewest picks of any team with 6. You know, I expect them to look for options to pick up more. If you look at his history, he has not traded down in the first or second round. I think this year could be something that breaks that trend. The last time the team did trade down in the first round was in 2008. It was Millen's last year. The team moved down 2 spots.
You can't say Millen.
I know, but it happened. History happened. They moved back 2 spots. With Kansas City, it allowed them to move up 10 spots in the 3rd round with a pair of swaps there and pick up a 5th rounder. And I think if an option like that presents itself to pick up a day 3 pick and maybe move up a few spots in a day 2 selection, to move back 2 to 5 spots, it's certainly on the table given, as I said, that they're entering with the fewest picks in the draft among all teams.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a possibility, and I could even see it happening, Justin, the other way too. I could see them trading up if the right situation presents itself. I think of a guy like Danny Shelton, the defensive tackle from Washington. I like him a lot. I know the team likes him a lot. I think outside of Leonard Williams, he might be the best defensive tackle in this draft. Space eater. I mean, he's a guy who'd be a great fit instantly, and he'd give you some continuity going forward too with all those 1-year deals the Lions have at defensive tackle. He'd be a great option, and I think I think I have him in my mock going somewhere around 15th. Then I think most people have him in that range, 12 to 16 or so. But if he falls to maybe 18, 19, 20, the Lions wouldn't have to give up that much in capital to make them move up 3 or 4 spots. And to get a guy like that, a guy that would instantly make you better, and I could see that happening if the right guy, such as a Shelton, falls, and they don't have to give up that much. I could definitely see it happening.
Yeah, and there are some offensive tackle prospects I think fit that definition as well. Like guys like Flowers, Collins, Pete, who I went back and looked at a second time, and I appreciated him a lot more looking at the film a second time. But what I don't see is the Lions giving up more picks this year. What would happen, I think, in those scenarios is they would do something like we talked about, where with a swap of picks later rounds, maybe they give up their 3rd rounder and pick up a 4th rounder and drop 10 or 15 slots, or maybe they give up a future pick. It's something they did when they acquired Tahir Whitehead a couple years ago. They gave Minnesota, I believe, as a future 4th round pick. That's certainly on the table, but I can't see the Lions having fewer than 6 picks, fewer than 6 rookies from this draft class at the end of the day. It just doesn't seem likely, given the fact that Mayhew wants to build through the draft.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do expect some kind of move to be made, given Mayhew's history in the draft. One thing that Mayhew mentioned last week that I thought was interesting is his sort of evolution as a trader, and early in his tenure, there were so many holes on this roster. The Lions were forced to, in some instances, trade away draft picks in order to acquire veterans at positions of critical needs, and I don't think the Lions have too many of those critical needs anymore. I mean, they have needs just like anybody else does, but the Lions are in a place now where they can draft guys for those spots and get. That means you're younger. That means you're generally cheaper. And the Lions, in free agency, they're at a place now where they can go out and they can acquire guys at market value or even under market value. I mean, look at James Adebo's situation. They got a guy who's pretty good safety at under market prices. That's the evolution you've seen from the Lions from 2009 when he took over and that whole nuclear winner from the 0-16 season to a point now where you have a pretty deep roster, especially on defense, and so I think you can be more selective with your trades and leverage yourself maybe for more picks, as you suggested later in the draft.
And those were great trades at the time. I mean, he picked up guys like Chris Houston, Lawrence Jackson, Rob Sims, guys that came in and contributed to the the ascension from a talentless organization to one that could at least be competitive. Speaking of ahead of Bo, there was some speculation thrown out there by the NFL Network's Ian Rappaport in a podcast this week that the Lions could shop him in the draft maybe for a mid-round pick. I'll be honest, I don't see that. I think they've got control of him for another year. It's cheap. They signed him for 2 years on purpose. You don't get much by trading for a fourth or fifth rounder.
And he's a good player. I mean, they're about winning this year.
Right.
And that's where the roster is constructed. And he's a good player, and not just good, but the way he plays the strong safety position, it frees up Glover Quinn to do his thing at free safety. And we saw how good Glover was last year in that role. So I don't see that happening.
No, and he brings leadership to the table. He skipped voluntary workouts. He's trying to make a statement. No harm, no foul. It is what it is, and the situation will play itself out. And he'll be here when things are mandatory.
That's what we got for today on the trade front. We'll be back tomorrow on Thursday, the first day of the draft. We'll reveal our mock drafts and our picks there, and explain who your mock published today.
Yeah.
Who was your Malcolm Brown, right?
Malcolm Brown.
So yeah, we'll talk about his pick and my pick, DJ Humphries from Florida tomorrow in the final video installment. For Justin Rogers, I'm Kyle Menke. We are MLive. Keep it right here.